Over the past couple of years, I have made thousands of dollars from creating templates on Canva and selling them as digital products online. With that, I have developed a workflow that helps me create these templates more quickly. So today in this video, I want to share with you some Canva tips as well as my complete Canva creation workflow so you can finally start creating and selling digital products online. Let's get into it. What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Alyssa. This channel is all about starting and growing your digital product business and making passive income online. If you're interested in that, then definitely consider subscribing. So today in this video, we're gonna go over my complete Canva template creation workflow, as well as going over some Canva tips that I've learned to make my templates really shine. And I bet there's a couple things I'm gonna say in this video that either answer questions that you have or ones that you didn't even know you needed. So make sure you stay to the end of this video so you don't miss anything. Now, obviously, you're going to need a profitable digital product idea before you can even get into Canva and start creating. So we're not gonna cover that in this video, but luckily I have two videos that I highly suggest you watch. So if you don't have ideas yet, or you wanna make sure your idea is profitable, I definitely suggest that you check out those two videos after this one. I'm gonna link them down below in the description box. Let's say I did that research already and I decided that I wanted to create Instagram templates. There are two things I wanna decide before I jump into Canva and start creating. One of them is my aesthetics. I wanna decide what color palette and what fonts I'm going to choose. And number two, I wanna get a sense, an idea of what I want to include in my templates. So let's jump into my screen so I can show you exactly how I do that. Okay, so what I'll typically do to figure out what colors I should use in my own templates, I'll see if there are any similarities between the bestsellers and the ones that are on the first page of the search results. So for the most part, I'm seeing a lot of neutral colors and some pinks. So that is probably where I'll start. I'll want to create some type of neutral or warm color template. Now, to find a color palette based on the colors that I see doing well on Etsy, I will either use Pinterest or Canva. So on Pinterest, what I'll do is I'll type in the color, so pink color palette. Then basically what I'll do is I will see if any of these color palettes catch my eye, and once I find a color palette I like, that's what I will base my templates off of. So like I said, another place I'll look is actually on Canva. So I will go to the style section, and when you scroll down, you'll be able to see that there are a ton of already pre-made font pairings and color palettes. You can even just select colors and just browse through to take a look at a bunch of them. And then I'll decide if I like any of these. I do the same things with fonts. So I go to the font pairings and I can see all the different pre-made font pairings that Canva put together. The good thing with using the font pairings in Canva is that these are already available fonts that you can use in your templates. Licensing a font and uploading it for your own purposes is one thing, but using a licensed font in templates where people can manipulate the text, that's another. And I do suggest that you don't go that route, that you do use the fonts that Canva gives you within the program. And I suggest that because a lot of the sites where people sell their fonts, in the licenses, it will say that you're not supposed to upload it into places like Canva and sell templates using them. If you really do want to use a font that you find, I suggest that you go to the creator and you get written approval from them that you can upload their font into Canva and use it in your templates. Just explain exactly what you'll be using their fonts for, and then just make sure they give you a written approval that you can use it. But I'm not a lawyer, so you do want to be careful, and that's why I really do suggest that you do use the fonts that are already in Canva for your template designs. Now, once I figure out my brand colors and my fonts, I will set them up in my brand kit inside of Canva for easy access as I'm creating my templates. Now, in order to set up your brand kit, you do need Canva Pro. So I'm gonna leave a 30-day free trial down below in the description box if you wanna try it out. What you're gonna do is you're going to scroll down and you're going to hit add and discover palettes. So you're either gonna choose a palette or you're going to add a custom palette. And with the custom palette, you can either find the colors yourself or you can type in the hex code that possibly you found on Pinterest, and then you're just going to create your brand palette. You're going to give it a name, and then you're going to also select your heading font and your subheading font. The reason why setting up your brand kit is really beneficial is because when you're designing, You're going to be able to find your fonts up here so you can easily add them to your template. And you're also going to be able to find your color palettes easily available right here, so you don't have to select the color every single time when you're designing. Also, what's great is if you go to styles, you can easily change everything with the click of a button. And the same thing with your text. This is my brand kit, so obviously it's not going to change, but if these were different fonts, then this would automatically change the header font and the subheader font to my branding fonts. So it's super beneficial, super helpful. Okay, so now it's time to think about your designs. We know that we're making Instagram quote templates, but how do we come up with ideas? Where do we get inspiration from? Well, what I like to do is I do like to go on Etsy and take a look at the best sellers. Now, I never copy, I never have someone's templates open while I'm creating my own, but I look at it and I get inspiration and I actually write down what I like about those templates. For example, let's just take a look at this bestseller. And I'm scrolling through and I'll say, oh, I really like how she put this frame here where someone can put their own photo or stock photography. And I like how she curved the text. So I will actually write that down either in a Word doc or in my notebook. I like how she has this wave text going on. I think that would be cool. So I'll just write down wave text. I like how she added textures on this Instagram post right here. It just gives it some depth, so it's not just a block color with some writing on it. It actually adds something to it, makes it a little bit more aesthetic and pleasing and interesting to look at. So I'm gonna say add textures to background with text. Now, I won't get inspiration from just one person. I will also look on Creative Market. I will sometimes look on Pinterest. I will look at other creators on Etsy and just really get a feel for the things that I like and that I want to include. And I'll just jot down my notes. And this is really great because when I get to creating, I'm not looking at other creators, I'm looking at my notes, and I'm able to use my own creativity to come up with my own versions of templates instead of looking at someone and trying to copy them. Another thing I do when creating my templates that really helps them stand out and makes them unique and differentiates them from the rest of the market is that I look to my own experiences and my own intel in order to create my templates. So I have a target audience in mind and I have a niche in mind, and I'm creating the templates for them. And I have a connection with that niche. For example, if I'm creating Instagram quote templates, I will probably have in my mind that I'm creating these templates for business owners or for more specifically coaches, because that's what I am. I'm a business coach. So when I'm creating these templates, it really does help to have that specific person in mind because I'm going to be able to pull from my own experiences of making Instagram posts for myself. So I am my own target audience, and it just makes it that much easier to create a product that really stands out. If you are struggling to find your profitable niche and discover your most profitable product idea, I am going to link down below Passive Product Payday. It's a really short, condensed program. It will take you 3 days or less to get through it. And it's really gonna help make sure that you have a niche and a product idea that is not only gonna be profitable financially, but one that is going to bring you joy and one that is energetically aligned with you. So definitely check out Passive Product Payday. I will link that down below in the description box. Now, before you get started, I highly suggest you come up with a folder organization system. So you do you, but I'm gonna show you what I would suggest if you have no clue where to start. So what I would do is I would create a new folder and I would title it My Templates, let's say. So I'm going to create the folder and I'm gonna star the folder because when I star it, what happens is it actually can be found over here on your left-hand side of your Canva dashboard. That way you can easily navigate to it when you sign into Canva. Then you're going to include another folder in here and I would name it Workbench. I would name another folder Final Templates. And I would create another folder called PDF Deliverables. Now it's going to make more sense why I have these organized the way they are, but for now I'm going to head into my folder Workbench and I'm going to create my first design. So I'm going to create an Instagram post that is 1080 by 1080. Just gonna click on it, and now we're gonna start our first design. So one thing I want to mention is that even though I just went into the folder and I created my design from within there, it doesn't actually save to that folder. So once you start your design, you're going to want to go to File, to Save to Folder, and then you're going to find that folder, and then you're going to save it. So I'm going to save this to Workbench. You're going to save this, and now that template that you're going to create is going to automatically save in that folder. So now, I want to talk about something that a lot of people don't know about, and that is adding your text the right way. So you want to make sure that when you add text to a template that you're clicking on text and you're selecting the header or the subheader that you want to add to your template. The reason is, let's say you used a Canva template as your starting off point, and you're using the text that was already originally on the template, and you're changing it to your subheader and your heading text. Well, when your end user gets the template and they go into their styles feature and they use their own brand fonts and they're hoping to change everything at once, it's not going to match up correctly because you didn't actually select header and subheading from your own brand kit. So just keep that in mind. Not a lot of people know that, and that's going to really make the end user happy when everything just works for them. Okay, so now let me add some text here. So one thing I want to show you that's super handy is you can select all of your text, or if you have elements, you can do this as well. You can highlight all of them, you go to position and you go to tidy up, and it will evenly space out the lines between your text. Another thing you can do is, let's say you wanted to justify everything to the left, you can go to position and then click left, and you'll see that everything will justify. So obviously spacing and kerning is very important when you're designing. So just keep in mind that there's a lot of good things up here to really help your designs look professional. Another thing I use a lot is centering. I also use the lock feature. So I will lock it up here, and that way if I'm designing in the background, whatever is locked won't move. Because sometimes when you're designing in Canva, it's difficult to select the correct layer when things are layered on top of each other. So locking really does help. One thing you should make sure of is that you should unlock your layers, because if you lock them and your end user comes in here and they try to change the styles, they try to change their fonts, what's going to happen is anything that is locked is not going to change, as you can see. So you really want to make sure that you unlock these things for your end user before you finalize your template. And yes, your end user can actually unlock them themselves, but it might get annoying for them to have to go through every element and unlock them. So just make sure you unlock your layers. Another thing I want to point out are text effects. These can really help your templates shine. So one that I use a lot is called Splice, and then you could just change the color of the background text by choosing the color in the effects panel, and then you can choose the outline by selecting the color of the text. So I use this a lot. Now let's move on to adding the texture. So you want to go to Elements, you're going to type in Texture, and you're going to see that these elements, some of them say Pro, and what you want to do is filter out the Pro elements by selecting Free, and I always filter out the motion graphics because I don't typically use motion graphics in my templates, and then you're going to see there's a bunch of free textures. Now, a lot of people ask me this, so it doesn't matter if you have a free or a pro account. If your end user has a free account, they're not going to be able to download those pro elements that you include in your templates unless they pay $1 per element. That's why I typically use free elements, and if I want to use a pro element, or if I can't find an element that's for free that I really want to use, I'll actually use my template and I'll doodle the element. I'll save it as an SVG file and upload it into Canva and include it in my template. So if you do that, if you upload your own element that you create, you can include it in your template. That is a whole nother tutorial. If you want me to show you exactly how I do that, you can let me know in the comment section below. And just like uploading fonts that are outside of Canva and uploading elements and graphics that you purchase a license to outside of Canva, you really want to be careful with uploading those and using them in your design because it might not be allowed. So that's why I either draw my own elements if I can't find it in Canva, or use the free elements that are given to me in Canva. Okay, let's move forward. Let's use this free texture. And what I'm going to do is just increase the size so it covers the whole square, and then I'm going to go to transparency and I'm going to decrease that transparency. So I'm not sure if I like that, but I'm going to duplicate that page instead of deleting that page, and you'll understand why later in the video. So let me get rid of that and let me try this texture. I'm going to change the transparency so we can see some of the purple in the background. I kind of like that. I think that looks pretty cute. Okay, so let's move on to the next template, and we're going to create that idea with the picture frame and the curved text. So let's go ahead, let's go to elements, let's scroll down to frames, click see all, and let's find a frame we want to use. Okay, let's use this one. Let's add some text. Let's add our header text and say, your text goes here. Let's go to effects, and now you can go to curve, and you can actually curve this text. That looks pretty good. Now I'm going to add splice. Maybe make it yellow, and then I'm going to add some text at the bottom. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some elements. So let's go to elements and let's type in abstract shapes. Again, I'm going to filter for free and static. And I'm going to just select this one. I'm going to position it to the back. Okay. So now let's say I wanted to find a very similar abstract shape, but I didn't see one. What you could do is you can click these three dots and actually go to the contributor. So this is a Canva contributor that created this element and uploaded it to Canva. So if you want the same style, if you want to keep your templates cohesive, which we normally do, then we can search by creator by clicking on their name and seeing all of the other things that they create. So I'm going to use this element. So see how I want to get to the background, but I can't because these elements are so big. So what I would do in that instance is honestly duplicate the page, delete one of the elements, select the background, change it. Then I would take the element from the original and then I would copy it right into there. And usually when I design, I will keep elements either in the corners or in the center. You can see this abstract shape is in the center and this line is kind of in a corner. So just from an aesthetic standpoint, it's kind of really pleasing to the eye when something is either center or off to the corners. So a lot of people will include stock photography within the frames for their mock-ups, but then they'll delete the stock photography from their templates. And they do that because licensing can get confusing. So I suggest that you delete the photos, but that's not necessarily the case. I'm not going to get into that in this video because I will go off on a tangent and it will just take up a lot of time. But I do have a mini course called Creating in Canva, and if you purchase Passive Product Payday, you'll have the option to opt in to Creating in Canva if you're interested in the do's and don'ts of creating in Canva. So if you do end up using stock photography for your mock-ups, then how you change the image within the frame is you double click it and then you can drag it to resize it. So then basically you can download these as PNGs, create your mock-ups for your listing photos, and then once you finalize the template, which we're going to get into next, you can actually delete these. So once I'm done creating my templates, I will go to my workbench folder and I will make a copy of it. Now I will take that copy and I will move that to my finalized template folder. Now I navigate to my final templates and I open up my template pack. I will rename it. And then remember earlier when I said when I wasn't sure if I liked something, I would duplicate the page. I do that because when I go to my final template and I click on grid view, I'm gonna delete all of the ones that I'm not gonna include in my final project file, but I still wanna keep them just in case I wanna go back to them on a later date if I decide to create another template pack, just so I don't lose something, because once you delete it for good. Okay, so now let's discuss sharing your finalized templates with your end user. How do you do that? Well, whether you have a free account or a pro account, you can share your templates, and you share them by giving them a template link that when your end user clicks on that link, it's going to open up a copy of your templates. So they're not going to be able to affect the original. So it's going to make a copy of the original for them. They can't edit the templates in your final template folder. So I just want to make that clear because I get that question a lot. And yes, you can have free or pro in order to do this. Now the interface does look different if you have a free account versus a pro account, so just know that, but you can share template links whether you have free or pro. So I have a pro account, and how I do this is I click share. Where it says link sharing off, I turn that on. I click this button over here and I make sure that I say publish as template, because if I give them this link, anyone with this link can edit, then what's gonna happen is they are going to edit the original. So you want to click on publish as template if you have pro, and then you're going to give them the template link. So you're gonna copy that template link. Now what you can do is you can put that in a Google Doc and download that Google Doc as a PDF. That way they can access the template. But what I do, and I've been doing this for the past 3 years, I've been creating templates, is I create a PDF document in Canva that has a clickable button where you can embed that template link. So for example, this is a template that I've created that my students have access to. And basically what you would do is you click here on this fake button that I created, and you click the link icon, and then you paste in that template link right here. And this frame here is for if you want to include your listing photo. Let's say this is your listing photo. You're going to just pop it in there, and then you can include a photo of yourself or your logo if you would like. And you can also add links to these icons if you want to include your social handles. So it's the same way. You just click on the icon, you click on the link icon, and then you type in the URL. And like I said, this is available for my students, but you can create this PDF yourself, just how you're creating templates. You're just going to use elements and fonts and everything to create this, and you're going to link to wherever you're trying to link them to. So after you create this document, what you want to do is click on share. You want to click on download, and you want to make sure you're downloading it as PDF print. You want to make sure that you're downloading it as that file type, because that's what's going to enable these buttons to actually be clickable and bring your end user to wherever you're linking them to. So let's just download this as an example so I can show you. So this is the document you'll be uploading into Etsy or your own website or Creative Market, wherever you're selling your templates. So when the end user purchases your digital product, this is what they'll get. And they'll be able to actually click on these buttons, and it will bring them to their copy of a template that they can edit. And again, it won't affect the original. It's making a copy for them, so they'll be editing their own copy of your template. Now, just to show you how you would upload this PDF into your Etsy listing, after you create your listing, you add your photos and your details and everything. You're going to make sure that under renewal options, you have digital selected. And then at the very bottom is where you're going to add your PDF. So you're going to click upload, you're going to find your PDF, and you're going to click open, and it's going to upload. And then you're going to publish your listing. And then once someone purchases your digital product, they'll get an email, and they'll also get a window that pops up that will automatically allow them to click on the link to download that PDF, and then they can access your template files. So that is how it all works, and this is how I create my Canva templates from point A to point Z. I hope this video gave you actionable steps and helpful tips. If it did, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye, guys.